I'm Georgia. Standing in the lobby of that luxury hotel in Buenos Aires, I stared at my phone as if it were a venomous snake. The text message from my boss, Victor, flashed on the screen. We're cutting you loose. Your company card is cancelled. Figure out how to get home yourself, loser. Each word was like a bullet piercing my heart, leaving me breathless and numb. I read the message 3 times, hoping that it was just a cruel joke. The marble floor beneath my feet felt cold and hard, a sharp contrast to the warmth and security I had once felt. People around me chatted in Spanish, their laughter and conversations a mockery of my misery. I was thousands of miles away from home, with only $40 in my wallet and a one-way ticket to nowhere. Any public display of emotion would have been a luxury I couldn't afford, so I set my features into a mask and typed back slowly, "Thank you for letting me know." I sat there for what felt like hours, trying to gather the strength to move. The shock had dulled into a cold, hard knot in my stomach, and all I could think about was my daughter, Lily. At just 5 years old, she was the light of my life, my reason for fighting through the endless struggles. It all started 4 years ago when I landed a job at Monarch & Company, a high-end fashion brand famous for its luxurious handbags. Most of their products cost more than my monthly rent, and as a purchasing coordinator, it was my job to source the finest materials, leather, hardware, and fabrics for their designs. My salary was barely enough to cover the rent and put food on the table, but I was good at it. I was fluent in several languages, used to talk to suppliers all over the world, and had a knack for making them understand our needs. I remembered their family stories, their children's birthdays. I built relationships based on trust. My boss's Victor was a 48-year-old man with a penchant for expensive suits and flashy watches. He always smelled of a cologne that cost more than my weekly groceries, and he had a talent for making me feel small and insignificant. 3 years ago, he was promoted to the head of our department, and I still don't know how. He had no idea what I really did, he just loved to throw his weight around. Whenever I asked for a day off to take Lily to the doctor, he'd say, "You're lucky to have this job. There are hundreds of people lining up to take your place." I'd grit my teeth and smile, because I had no other choice. Lily needed a roof over her head and clothes on her back. I swallowed his insults, his dismissive remarks, and his cruel jokes, all for the sake of a steady paycheck. 2 months ago, Victor called me into his office. "We've got a problem," he said, glaring at me over the top of his desk. "Our leather supplier in Argentina, Familia Torres, is threatening to pull out. They're the ones who supply all the leather for our spring collection." I was taken aback. "Why?" I asked. "How should I know? You're the one who deals with them," he snapped, as if I were a mere messenger and not someone who'd spent years building a relationship with those suppliers. "I'll reach out to them," I said calmly, trying to keep my temper in check. That afternoon, I called Diego Torres, the patriarch of the Torres family business. Diego was a 65-year-old man with a thick Argentinian accent and a heart as big as the Andes. He'd been in the leather-making business for 3 generations, and his family produced the most exquisite leather I'd ever laid eyes on. It was soft as silk but strong as steel, like a work of art. "Your company treats us like machines," Diego complained in Spanish. "Last month, they wanted to cut our prices, and this month, they're demanding faster deliveries. They never ask if it's possible, they just bark orders." "I understand," I said, my heart sinking. "Let me work on it. I'll come up with a solution." Over the next week, I worked day and night to put together a proposal that addressed both our company's needs and Familia Torres's concerns. I included better payment terms, more realistic delivery schedules, and a guarantee of consistent orders, so they could plan their production in advance. It was a win-win situation, and I was confident it would work. But Victor barely glanced at my proposal. "Just go to Argentina and fix this," he said, his eyes fixed on his phone. "Make them happy. That's your job." My heart dropped. "When?" "Next week. You'll be there for at least 3 weeks, maybe a month." however long it takes. I thought of Lily, and my mind filled with images of her tear-streaked face. But my daughter, I stammered. She has family, doesn't she? Figure it out, Georgia. This is your job. Lily cried the night before I left. She clung to my legs, her small body trembling. Don't go, Mommy. Please don't go, she sobbed. I knelt down and held her face in my hands. I have to go to work, baby. Just for a little while. Aunt Sophie will stay with you. You love Aunt Sophie, don't you? But it's my birthday soon, she whispered, her big eyes filling with tears. My heart constricted with pain. I know, baby. I'll be back before your birthday. I promise. I broke that promise. When I arrived in Buenos Aires, the city was a whirlwind of noise and activity. It was overwhelming, but I didn't have time to adjust. I took the cheapest taxi to the hotel that Victor's assistant had booked for me. It was a shabby place, but clean. The next day, I took a bus to Familia Torres's workshop on the outskirts of the city. It was an old building, but it was well maintained, and the air was filled with the rich, earthy smell of leather. Diego greeted me warmly, and his wife, Isabella, brought me tea and pastries. Tell me what you need, Diego said, his eyes fixed on mine. I need you to keep working with us, I said honestly. But I also need to know what's not working for you. Over the next few hours, we had a long and honest conversation about prices, schedules, and most importantly, respect. Diego was frustrated with Victor's high-handed approach. Your boss treats us like we're dirt, he said. He doesn't understand our business, and he doesn't respect our work. I bowed my head. I know. He treats me the same way. Isabella looked at me with pity. Then why do you stay? Because I have a daughter to support, I said. I need this job. They nodded in understanding. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked closely with Diego and his family to finalize the agreement. We found a middle ground that satisfied both parties, and I could see the trust building between us. One day, Diego said to me, I want you to be the person we deal with from now on. Not your boss, not anyone else. You. I was taken aback. I'm not in charge. I'm just the coordinator. Then we'll make you the point person for this deal, he said firmly. Every agreement, every change, has to go through you. Otherwise, we won't work with Monarch and Company. Again. At first, I thought he just preferred working with me because I was more personable than Victor. But later, I realized that Diego saw what Victor was doing, taking my work and claiming it as his own. He wanted to protect the relationship we'd built. Back home, Victor was constantly on my case. He bombarded me with messages. Where's the contract? When will it be signed? What's taking so long? I tried to explain that building trust takes time, that rushing the process would only ruin everything. But he didn't listen. I don't need excuses, he'd reply. I need results. One time, he insisted on joining a video call with Diego. It was a disaster. Victor interrupted constantly, made inappropriate jokes that didn't translate, and treated Diego like an idiot. After the call ended, Diego said to me, that man has no respect for anyone. I'm sorry, I said, feeling ashamed. Don't apologize for him, Diego replied. You're not like him. Lily's birthday came and went. I sent her presents and a video message singing happy birthday, but it wasn't the same as being there with her. When I called Aunt Sophie, she told me that Lily had cried herself to sleep. She just wants you home, Georgia, she said. I know, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. I'll be home soon. Finally, after 3 weeks of hard work, we had everything ready. The agreement was worth $12 million over 2 years, a partnership that would not only bring Monarch and Company the finest leather for their spring collection but also ensure the long-term success of Familia Torres. The signing was scheduled for Thursday morning, and Diego wanted to do it properly, with his whole family present. The night before the signing, I was in the hotel lobby, double-checking everything when my phone buzzed. That was when I received Victor's text message. It felt like the world had stopped spinning. I was fired, and I was stuck in a foreign country with no way to get home. But then, something inside me snapped. I thought about all the hard work I'd put in, all the sacrifices I'd made, and I knew I couldn't let Victor get away with it. I grabbed the folder with the unsigned contract, the one that was worth millions to Monarch and Company. And I headed back to the Torres' workshop. When I arrived, it was already dark. Diego and Isabella were still working, finalizing the paperwork for the signing. They looked surprised to see me. "Diego, Isabella," I said, my voice steady. "I've been fired." Diego's face darkened with anger. "After all you've done? That's unacceptable." I nodded. "I know. But what about the signing?" Diego looked at me and said, "The contract is in your name. You're the one who negotiated it, and you're the one we trust. Without you, there's no deal." I was stunned. I hadn't realized the full extent of what Diego had done. The contract was legally binding, and I was the required point person for the entire partnership. "Another company, Luna Fashions, has been trying to work with us," Diego said. "They've offered better terms, but we've always said no because of our commitment to your company. But now..." He let the words hang in the air. I knew what he was suggesting. "What would it mean for me?" I asked. Diego smiled. "Luna Fashions has been looking for someone with your skills. Someone who understands materials and can build relationships with suppliers. You'd have a stable job, a good salary, and the respect you deserve." I hesitated. "But I have a daughter. I need to be home." Isabella patted my hand. "Luna Fashions values work-life balance. They'll understand your situation." I thought about Lily, about how I'd been away from her for so long, and how Victor had treated me. I knew what I had to do. "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." The next morning, Diego made the calls. First, he called Luna Fashions and introduced me to their procurement manager, a kind-hearted woman named Maya. She was impressed with my work and offered me a job on the spot. Then, he called Victor. I sat in the workshop, my hands shaking, as Diego put the phone on speaker. Victor's voice crackled through the phone. "Diego, finally. Are we all set for the signing?" "No," Diego said firmly. "There will be no signing. Familia Torres will no longer be working with Monarch and Company." Victor was furious. "What do you mean?" "This is a business deal. We have an agreement." "This is about respect," Diego said. "You fired an excellent employee who spent 3 weeks building a relationship with us. You don't value her work, and you don't value us. So, there's no deal." Victor tried to argue, but Diego wouldn't listen. "We're going to work with Luna Fashions instead. They've been waiting for an opportunity, and we're ready to give it to them." With that, Diego hung up the phone. I looked at him, my heart pounding. "Thank you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled. "You earned this. You're a valuable person, and you deserve to be treated with respect." Luna Fashions arranged everything for me. They booked my flight home, and when I was ready to start work, they provided me with a comfortable apartment near the Torres' workshop and a rental car. Maya was understanding when I told her about my need to be home for Lily. She offered me a flexible schedule, allowing me to fly home every 2 weeks. When I got home, Lily was overjoyed to see me. She threw her arms around my neck and held on tight. "You're home, Mommy," she said, her eyes shining. "I'm home, baby, and I'm never going to leave you for so long again," I promised. In the months that followed, I settled into my new job at Luna Fashions. I used my skills to source high-quality materials from all over the world: silk from Thailand, hardware from Italy, and fabric from France. The relationships I built with suppliers were based on trust and mutual respect, and it showed in the quality of the products we produced. Luna Fashion's spring collection was a huge success. The handbags, made with the materials I'd sourced, were elegant and stylish, and they sold out in record time. Fashion critics raved about the collection, and the company's reputation soared. Maya called me into her office one day. "Georgia, you've done an amazing job," she said. "I'd like to offer you a promotion to International Sourcing Director. It comes with a significant raise and full benefits." I was speechless. "Thank you," I managed to say. "I'm honored." "Your work has been outstanding," she continued. "You've built relationships that are invaluable to this company. You're a true asset." Meanwhile, Monarch & Company was in free fall. Without Familia Torres's leather, they couldn't meet their production deadlines. The handbags they produced were of inferior quality, and retailers started canceling their orders. The company's reputation took a nosedive, and they were facing financial ruin. I heard that Victor tried to save his job by firing other employees and restructuring the department, but it was too late. 6 months after he fired me, Monarch & Company filed for bankruptcy. The once luxury brand was gone, and Victor was out of a job. I didn't gloat. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt relief. Relief that I'd gotten out of a toxic work environment, and relief that I'd found a company that valued me for who I was and what I could do. It's been a year since that fateful day in the hotel lobby. Luna Fashions has opened a flagship store in New York, and I was invited to the opening. I brought Lily with me, and as we walked through the store, looking at the beautiful handbags on display, she looked up at me with wide eyes. "Mommy, did you really help make all of this?" she asked. I smiled. I helped find the people who made it possible. The leather workers in Argentina, the silk weavers in Thailand, and the craftspeople all over the world. I just connected them with people who appreciate good work. "That's a lot of helping," she said. "Yes, it is," I said. "And I get paid well for it, so we can go for ice cream after this." Her face lit up. "Really?" "Really," I said, pulling her close. Looking back on that difficult time, I realized that sometimes, the best revenge is not about getting even. It's about choosing yourself, about standing up for what you believe in, and about refusing to let others define your worth. I'm stronger now, and I know that no matter what challenges come my way, I have the courage to face them. Because I've learned that when someone throws you away, you don't have to crawl back. You can walk away and build something even better.